Welcome to this arcade shootout, and this time it's Checkman, originally released into the arcade by Xylec in 1982. An early game with deceptively easy gameplay. The screen is split into boxes or tiles, and you have to move around them and reach each time bomb before it explodes. The bombs start the countdown one at a time, after the previous one has been disarmed. There is a time limit on each bomb, but once you use a tile, you cannot use it again, so you have to plot your course carefully. There are also skull and crossbones to avoid, which are static, but later on there are moving enemies in the form of large boots as well. There are bonus points available for collecting flags on the way. To get out of trouble, you can scroll the entire row of tiles left or right, which comes in very useful. There's a nice little tune plays, note by note as you move around, and the typical 80s style arcade sounds for various things. As you can see, it looks simple, but it is in fact quite tricky. The Spectrum had a few versions of this game, but not as many as other arcade clones, so in this instance I'll be looking at some typing games as well. First off, and we have Blockbuster, a typing game from ZX Computing from August 1985. The screen is drawn using cyan boxes, with skulls being the same colour. Flags are green, and your character, looking a bit like Humpty Dumpty, is white. There's a long pause and then the first bomb appears, with a countdown. Movement is in character squares, but works for this style of game. Simple beeps accompany the movement. After each bomb is disarmed, there is a long wait before the next one appears. One difference here is that when you try moving into an empty space, you die, unlike the arcade where you're just blocked. There are no moving enemies, at least in the first two levels, but you can scroll the tiles and wrap around the screen. Not bad for a type-in, but I'm hoping for better. Next we have Blockman, another type-in, this time from your computer, from January 1984. A different colour scheme, but the same action. The screen seems smaller with less space, and the time limit on the bombs is very short. Movement again is in character squares with simple beeps for sound. You can scroll the row, but you do move at the same time. This can lead to you being pushed into a skull by accident. There's a sort of bonus game here too. The character rushes across the top of the screen and you press a button to make him drop down, hopefully onto the flag and not the skulls. There are various difficulty levels, and these just reduce the timer of the bombs. Playing on the hardest level is impossible. No moving enemies that I saw, but for a typing, not bad I suppose. And yes, it plays the death march. Now we have a commercial game, Chuckman from Hyperion, released in 1983. That continuous sounds annoying, and so is the controls. The character is 16 pixels square, in other words 2 characters, and he moves in single character squares though, so you find yourself stuck halfway between the two. And that means you can't move, and it can often cause death. This is really frustrating. The good news is that there's a moving enemy. The bad news is it just homes in on your position. That means constantly moving, but it will eventually get you. The sound consists of beeps, unless you complete a level, and then you get a nice machine code effect. It's certainly fast and furious, but that doesn't make it good. I found it too stress-inducing, and that sound doesn't help. Make it stop. And another commercial game, D-Fusion, this time by Lyndhurst Limited, released in 1983. This game was also released by K-Tel later. A different screen look here, and at least the character moves properly. The chasing boots just home in on your position, sadly, but like the previous games you can try and trap them because they can't move past empty spaces. The whole game seems just too loud, and it's a never-ending chase game, which the arcade isn't. The one good thing I can say about this is the bomb has a nice explosion effect if you don't defuse it in time. Onward then, and next is Grid Trap by Livewire Software, released in 1986. Yeah, get that funky beat, man! Onto the game then, and now we get a nice game. There's a semblance of a tune playing, which helps things along. The control is good, and the sound is great, with nice effects for collecting various things. The boot does not just home in on you, which is a welcome change from previous games. Each new level brings another boot, which makes things harder, just like the arcade. Row movement works, and this is the first game apart from the arcade version that I really enjoyed playing. It's not easy, but it's fun to play, which makes a difference. A great version then, and the one to beat. Back to tie-pins then, and Stamp About, released in Your Spectrum magazine in October 1984. This game looks very much like Blockman, and another game we'll get onto later, but the sound is much improved. The Kempston control wouldn't let me move right for some reason, so I had to use the cursor joystick option, which was fine. Movement is in character squares and works well. But there's a terrible sound when you defuse a bomb, or in this case, a flashing radiation symbol. The boot moves slowly, but does just head straight for your position, but at least you've got a chance to get out of the way. The game crashed a few times, either just freezing up, sometimes when I moved off the edge of the screen, and sometimes just after a couple of plays. It was all very random, and it didn't make for a good experience. Now onto a game I'm embarrassed I didn't know existed. Stomp from DKronics, released in 1985. I never knew DKronics released this. The game has less tiles than other variants, but the graphics are really nice, and I like the animation on the dynamite. Controls work well, and we even have smooth movement. The row scrolling works differently in that it just adds blocks rather than scrolling the row. It has nearly the same effect though. I'm surprised that there's no intro screen, it just starts straight away, and there's a high score table afterwards. Some games ended in instant death because the random placement of the boot and character to start each new level is random, and it can mean it's right next to you, which means it kills you. You've not got a chance at all. Sound is used well, and overall, not a bad version. On to another game called Stomp, this time from Amigga Software, released in 1985. Plenty of tiles here, but the game is frustrating. The boot just heads straight for you. There is a very small amount of random movement, but in the end, if you stand still, it will still get you. And that is annoying. The character movement is good, nice and smooth and easy to control. Sound is well used, and the bombs do appear before the previous one had been defused, keeping the action flowing. This game does not have the row scroll though. Instead, it just fills up the empty spaces to the left or right of you with tiles. This makes it have less of a strategic element, but it can help in gameplay. This is an improvement over the typing games, but it just needed a little more random movement of the boots. Back to typings then, and this one is called Time for Action, and it was released in Computer Gamer May 1986. However, the code and the game itself gives it the name of Time Bomb. Yeah, okay, where do we start? It looks okay. Movement is sticky. It's a basic game, in both senses of the word, and as such, the enemy just homes in on you. The bombs always have the same sequence, and the sound is just beeps. One very annoying thing is that the last bomb cannot be defused. I've played the level several times, got to the end, and nothing. I can't walk into it from any side. That means it's not really worth playing. Very odd. I guess there's an error in the listing somewhere, but I'm not going to go and start debugging it now. Let's move on. And now onto a commercial release, Time Bomb from CDS Microsystems, released in 1984. I've reviewed this before, and it's a great game that I really enjoyed, after I got used to how it plays. This is the game that pointed me to the arcade version, and subsequently this feature. There's everything here, a tune that plays while you move, nice sound effects and easy control. You can scroll the rows, and the first level does not have chasing boots. The time limit is a bit tight, but I think it's just about the right balance, allowing you to plan your route. The graphics move in character squares, but for a game like this, as mentioned before, it doesn't really matter, and in some instances can actually help gameplay. Level 2 brings the moving boots. On to our final game then, and TNT from New Tech Publishing. This was released in the Times Book of Computer Puzzles and Games in 1984. And this one looks suspiciously like Blockman from earlier on, and it also uses the same graphics as Stomp about. Here's a comparison. I think this is more like Blockman, despite it being attributed to a different person. It's even got the same intro screen and key controls. It looks like this could maybe be the uncompiled basic version of it. Yeah, same game with minimal changes, a lot slower, obviously, and it's even got the same bonus game. Nothing more to say then. So there we are. Which is the winner? Well, in my opinion, the best version of Checkman on the Spectrum is Grid Trap from Livewire Software. I can't go on about fantastic graphics because it's a clone of a 1982 arcade game, but based on that, well yes, it does the job very well. A close second is Time Bomb from CDS. Both are definitely worth a play. Right, Geoff, so that was Checkman. I didn't know it was an arcade game, to be honest. Did you?
No, I didn't. Until you mentioned it, I don't think I'd ever seen it before.
No, and it's a nice little game, especially when you can slide the rows to make it much easier. I didn't realise you could do that, and then once you'd found that out, it made it a lot easier.
You can slide the rows?
Yeah, did you not know that?
No, I didn't know that. I played it. It's one of those weird games where the first time I played it, I must have got really lucky run or something. I got really, really far. I got about 6 or 7 screens in. And after that, I couldn't get past more than kind of 3 or 4.
What, without scrolling the rows?
Yes, without scrolling the rows. I never scrolled the rows once.
I don't know.
But I didn't know you could do it.
Okay, fair enough. Well, anyway, after that game, I got thinking about odd arcade games that you'd not seen other than very recently or a long time after they were released, that you didn't know existed in the arcades or anywhere for that matter.
Yeah.
I've had a quick delve through some of the things, and I've got a couple.
And given that you gave me a heads up we were going to do this, I've had a delve through, and I've got a couple as well. You start.
Okay, I'm going to go for one that I first saw, I think, in Manchester at the first Play Expo in Manchester, and it's called Pleiades or Pleiades, depending on which company put it out, because it was put out on by 2 different companies. And it's a shooter, and I think it's running on Phoenix hardware, or it's very similar because it's almost like Phoenix. There's some initial aliens to shoot that are trying to kidnap your people. Then you go into space and there are large flapping birds, and then there's a spaceship right at the end that you have to blast holes in. So very much like Phoenix.
Does it scroll down?
It doesn't. At least I didn't get it to scroll down. When I played it once, I destroyed the ship. You don't shoot it. You have to shoot through holes that appear and then disappear, so you don't actually break it down like Phoenix. But it doesn't come down. You just get swarmed by lots of things.
And it doesn't have a rotating shield thing like Phoenix. It just has these holes.
Yeah, it just seemingly has random holes. There's 4, and they open and close at different intervals, and you've just got to get your shots through there.
All right. Do you have to shoot all 4?
I have no idea. I only destroyed it once, and I was just shooting like crazy, and eventually it exploded. I didn't know why, but anyway, yeah.
The old method, yeah.
Just shoot anything as much as you can.
Yeah, shoot anything as much as you can. That used to be my method in arcades as well. Yeah. It sounds interesting. Sounds like a very interesting game. You're quite a fan of Phoenix, aren't you?
Yes. I think it's probably my favourite arcade game. When you see it, it looks just like the Phoenix intro screen. It's got the same fonts and the same thing, which is why
Does it draw the letters?
It does. It does, yeah. Almost, yeah.
Are you sure it wasn't some rip-off bootleg of mod of Phoenix then?
No, I've looked it up, and I thought it was a mod, to be honest. When I first saw it in Manchester, I thought somebody's modded Phoenix, but no, it's a standalone game.
Oh, cool. I guess there was a lot of plagiarism went on back then, really.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
What have you picked, Geoff?
I picked Nibbler.
Nibbler? Okay.
Which is, it's a strange combination between those Snake games you used to get on really old mobile phones before they were like iPhones.
Yeah.
Because when you eat things, you get longer, and Pac-Man. Because you go around a maze collecting dots, and you've got to collect all the dots. But you're a snake, and every time you get a dot, you get longer. Okay. So you've got to do it without bashing into yourself.
All right. Is there ghosts and stuff?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Nope, that's it. And it just gets faster and faster, and the mazes get harder and harder. So they're more windy, so it's harder not to basically bite yourself on the middle. And it's actually really good and really, really addictive. I can't remember when I first saw it, but it was a few years ago. It was definitely after it had been out in arcades. It wasn't an original arcade. I saw this thing, I thought, that looks interesting, and went over and started playing. And actually, this is true, both the games that I'm going to talk about. I did that thing where when you finish, normally what you do is you'll kind of move away and let someone else have a go. But I did the thing where you look around to see if anyone's waiting, and if they're not, you have another go.
Okay. My next one I first saw at with you, actually. I don't think you picked up on the fact it was at Arcade Club in Bury.
Yeah.
And it's a game called Star Force, which surprisingly is another shooter. And I liked it because it reminded me of Amigga games. A lot of early Amigga shooters looked very much like that. Things like Battle Squadron and Hybris and that sort of thing. And that's what attracted me to it, but I'd never seen it before. So I was curious as to what it was. And yes, it's a scrolling shooter with landscape in the background and all that. And lots
is it horizontal scrolling or vertical scrolling?
It's vertical scrolling, yeah.
What level is it? I mean, because you think of vertical shooters, we've already mentioned your Space Invaders and your Pac-Man where it didn't scroll. But then you got things like 1941 and things like that. And then they went a bit mad, and you got bullet hells,
Oh,
you've got
yeah.
Battergun, and
Can't do
bullet
those
hell,
bullet hells.
bullet hell ones. Yeah, those ones.
No, it was released in 1984, so that'll give you some idea. But it's I would
Alright,
say,
okay,
yeah,
so it's
along
quite
the
an
lines
early
of
one.
1942, that sort of thing, for
Yeah.
quality and things.
My last game, and this is a really weird one, and when you first play it, it looks like a Scramble clone. It's called
Right.
Scorpion,
Okay.
and it looks really Scramble-like. You have a massive ship. The ship sprite is huge.
Yeah.
And you start, and it's horizontal scrolling, and like I say, it looks like the landscape scrolls along, and it looks very, very
It's got
Scramble.
rockets and fuel and stuff.
No,
Okay.
you have kind of insects that come along, and they must all be spiders because they all leave like a trail. If you shoot them, the trail stops, but if you don't, it kind of covers the screen one way or another. They go vertically, horizontally, and diagonally.
Yeah.
And if you crash into the trail, you die, but you can shoot the trail.
Okay.
It's a strangely compelling game. It's another one of those ones where, yeah, when I first played it, I was looking over my shoulder thinking, oh, no one's around.
I played this when you told me about it, and when I got a certain distance in level 1, I thought the game had crashed because it all went weird. It's sort of, I don't know, it's like an asteroid thing.
Yeah, you're multi-directionally, and you've got these like spiders looping you around you, getting closer and closer.
Yeah, I'd lost it at that point. I thought, what the hell? I thought it had crashed.
Then in the third level, you actually get to fight a scorpion, but I've only ever got there once or twice. So.
Right, okay.
I was wondering, Paul, do you think any of these would make good Spectrum conversions?
Nibbler would. It's very similar to a game called Snake Escape.
Yeah.
So, yes, that would do. I think Star Force is too technical, unless they did it monochrome where you can't see any of the bullets.
Yeah, that's always a pain, isn't it?
And based on Alan's Scramble, Scorpion is definitely possible, at least the first stage. I'm not sure about the other stuff.
I wonder if he'd make the ship a bit smaller to make it easier.
Yes.
Although he does like to kind of replicate it as close as he can, doesn't he?
Yeah. Pleiades, probably yes. A bit more work because it's all the other things going on. But yeah, apart from Star Force, I think most of them, the other 3, could possibly get done.
Yeah, so Alan could do them all.
We should have called the section, Can Alan Do This?
Well, he could do it. He could probably give Pleiades a good go as well, Paul. You know how talented Alan is.